Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest in Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a wonderful weekend so far, staying healthy, staying strong. Hi honey, welcome to the class. This is a members chat class. Everybody's welcome to watch. In fact, it's a good idea to watch because our next class will be connected to this class. We are looking at IELTS speaking. Specifically, we are looking at IELTS speaking part 2, which is the cue card. And we're looking for that Band 9 practice class today. This material is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Please visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at IELTShelp.com. IELTShelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of materials to assist you in your learning, improving your communication, your English, your band scores. Lots of speaking practice available there as well. Hi, Janelle. Hello, Chubby. Nice to see you in the class. Hi, Carolina. Long time no see. All right. Welcome. Just a quick peek at our websites. This is our academic website here with the blue background. You can click that big red button to join the premium package. When you join, you can use the code R4TYJ for a 20% discount off of our premium package. And you can also use that on our general IELTS website. It's this one here with the green background, and you can click that big red button, or even this one after you're done watching the promotional video there. We are a British Council IELTS registration center for Saudi Arabia. We also have certified British Council agents on our team. As you can see at the bottom here, those are our happy students. We have thousands of genuine testimonials from around the world attesting to the efficiency of the course. So definitely a good idea to visit and join. If you have any questions, adrian@aehelp.com. If you like to use your mobile for learning, install the apps Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. All right. We have a couple more classes today. Right now, speaking part 2, and then followed by speaking part 3, where everybody will be able to join. These live classes are Wednesday to Saturday at around this time and at 15 o'clock. 17th to the 19th, no class, and then I am back on the, let me do a correction here, 20th. Okay, so 20th Wednesday, we'll continue with speaking part 1. So that's the usual schedule. All right, lots of students in the class now. Hi, Ois. Hi, Ali, Nancy, Nick Hill, Anna. Nice to have all of you. Here is part 2 cue card speaking for the day. All right, so IELTS speaking, 3 parts. First part, some questions on a general topic concerning you. Once you're done that, the examiner will say, that's the end of part 1. For part 2, there's a card in front of you. There's some note paper with a pencil. Please don't turn the card over yet. You will have 1 minute to look at the questions on the card. Think about your answers. Take notes in that 1 minute if you wish. And then you will have 2 minutes to speak. I will tell you when to start, when to stop. Okay, go ahead, turn over the card, and your 1 minute preparation time begins now. They're timing you. They have a clock, so they know exactly how many seconds have passed, and so they are definitely timing you. Okay, now you turn over the card, and that 1 minute preparation time is super duper important, okay, because that 1 minute will set the foundation not only for your part 2, but also for your part 3 response. So I cannot emphasize enough the importance of having good strategy in that 1 minute, okay? So your part 2, Sandeep, welcome to our group of members. Send me an email later after the class so I can hook you up with your perks. Thank you. So your part 2, 1 minute preparation time sets the foundation not only for part 2, but also for part 3. Okay, what does that mean? That means having a great strategy in this 1 minute can make a difference of 1 or 2 band scores. Okay, so that's how important that is. Okay, so you really have to do your absolute best. All right, and we'll go through that step by step as we usually do. So you turn over your card, and this is what you see. Describe a time when you were scared. Now, the first step is always to read this topic statement twice to get a very clear idea about the topic, the tense that you need to use, okay? So describe a time when you were scared. Twice I read it. It's about me, not about people in general. It's in the past, were, and it's an event that's dealing with a scary situation. Okay, so a time when I was scared. Okay, that is now crystal clear in my mind. Okay, why were you scared? So obviously the reason. When and where did it happen? Who were there or who was there? Would be a little bit better. Okay. And how do you feel about the situation now? So this is the present. Okay, taking note of that. All right, good. So I've read the card. Shouldn't take more than 10 seconds to do that, maybe even a little bit less. And I have absolute clarity. Okay, so in my next step, you don't need to write this down. You just need to identify this. So topic is an event when I was scared. Okay, and the tense is mostly past. Now, when it's mostly past tense, we're also thinking past progressive, and we're also thinking past and present perfect. Okay, and present. Okay. Sometimes students ask me this question. I know there's a couple of videos online that talk about this, like the PPF method, the past, present, future method. Be really careful with that, students. It's not always effective. It's not always what is required. To figure out whether you have to speak in the past or in the present or in the future, you have to look at the card and identify what the card is asking you to do. Is everybody clear on that? I know we have some new members, several of them over the last few days, so I just want to make sure that you're clear on that, okay? So be very careful with the past, present, future method. As this is not always the requirement. You have to pay attention to the questions on the card. For this card, it would not be a good idea to talk much about the future, or at all about the future, to talk about the future. Like, in the future, if this were to happen to me, what? Nobody's asking you what you would do if this were to happen to you in the future, okay? All right, so Chabi says yes, Carolina says yes, Nikhil says okay. All right. Good. Now, this is an event. So, when you tell a person about an event in your life, okay, this could be a memory, and in this case, a scary situation, what should you include in the event? So, what should you say to clearly communicate the event, and in what order? Okay. So, Ois says, well, first of all, talk about what is the event? So the event, right? Okay, so title. Then the time. OS questions are okay. Instead of the questions, always try to think about the actual statement. So instead of when, say specific time. Where, say location. Okay, it's more affirmative, and it seems like a trivial difference to write when, where, time, location, but in your thinking, it's not so trivial. Okay, it does matter. So you want to use the affirmative statement style thinking here. So time, location, attendance or attendees, yeah. Yeah, attendance is who was there. Attendees is the people that were there. Both are okay. I see a couple of you wrote attendance, okay. And then activities, yeah. It's better to talk about the attendees first, because then we can picture, like, there were 20 people there. They were playing soccer. So then we can see 20 people playing soccer. It makes more sense than we were playing soccer with 20 people. It's more logical to picture the people first and then the activity. Okay, so attendees make sense to talk about a little bit before activities. And then the activities, okay, so what actually happened, right, the occurrence, and then my experience. My experience, you can also think about that. I don't think I've digressed into this too much, but you can also think about that as the emotions that you have connected with that experience. So what did you feel in connection to that event or that experience? Now, obviously here, it's an event where you were scared, but you can probably go into more detail and give some more emotions as well. Okay, good. So once you have all of this information, you're definitely on the right track. So basically the band 9 responses are a combination of this kind of logic plus the specific questions on the card. Now, oftentimes when you talk about the topic of the card, so here being scared, in this order, you're basically answering all the questions on the card, and in this case, that's quite true. So you can see, like, why were you scared? When and where did it happen? Who was there? One kind of interesting fact to notice about these cue cards is the cue cards aren't necessarily organized in the correct way. So here you have why were you scared, and then when and where did it happen, and who was there. So the time, the attendees, that order in the card isn't necessarily logical, okay? And that can be a little bit tricky. So sometimes students ask me, like, do I have to answer these questions in the same order? No, you don't. The examiner is looking at this card holistically. So they're looking at the whole concept. And then, of course, they're looking at the pieces and they're listening for you answering these pieces, but it doesn't have to be ordinal. Is everybody clear about that? So this doesn't, you don't have to say these answers in this order on your exam. It's better oftentimes to have a much more logical structure, which I'm showing you right now, which is the title, time, location, attendees, and so on, okay? So keep that in mind. Okay, I can see some yeps and some thumbs up. All right, that's good. I like it, by the way, students, when you give me some yeps and some thumbs up, Anna, because that means that I know that you're actually picking up what I'm saying. Also, members, I know there's lots of new members this past couple of weeks. If something is not clear, don't be shy. Ask me, say, Adrian, what did you mean about doesn't have to be ordinal? Can you explain that more? And probably other students are wondering the same, so I can go into some more details. Okay, so if something's not clear, ask me. If I catch it, I will definitely, and it's relevant, I will definitely give some more details. Okay, so so far so good. So we have all of these kind of concepts in mind. Now we want to come up with a few different possible ideas. This is an extremely important step. Okay, so important. Come up with at least 2 to 3 possible answer ideas before you choose the one that you will talk about. Okay? And just to emphasize this, it is very dangerous to talk about the first idea that comes to mind. Okay, many times I've been teaching students and I was interviewing students where their part 2 answer becomes very difficult for them, and it's very obvious after about the first 3 or 4 sentences. And then after the interview, you know, I asked the student, I say, what happened there in part 2? Like, your answer really fell apart, and I can kind of tell that you were having a lot of trouble with the topic that you chose. And then many students say, yeah, I thought it was going to be an easy or a good idea, but then after a couple of sentences, I realized that I had just had nothing to say about this topic, or I really didn't know a lot of the language. So you want to avoid that kind of situation. That's a disaster, okay? So definitely avoid that. So 2 to 3 choices, okay? It's just like when you're buying a car. You should be really careful. You shouldn't ever just buy the first car that you see. You should always check out a couple of different options before you buy the right vehicle. Okay, it's a good idea. We live in the world of plenty these days, so always think of a couple choices. Okay, so think of some choices, and we'll kind of pick one that we can all work on together for this class. So, what are some situations where people feel scared? And it's fairly easy to talk about. So it should be easy to talk about, but it should also be original. So that's what you need to think about. So your choice should be easy and original. Okay, so Carolina says, when I had to deliver a presentation. Okay, Carolina, I wouldn't go with that because that's more nervous than scary. Okay, so students, don't confuse nervousness or anxiety with fear. It's a little bit different, and I chose this topic on purpose. Remember, not so long ago, I believe last week, we did a part 2 where talk about a person who made you nervous or anxious. Here, think more about being scared, okay? So Chabi says, first time I tried cliff jumping. Okay, so cliff jumping, yeah, that would be fear related, cliff jumping, okay? So don't think nervous or anxious, actually think scared, okay, scared. Okay, Abhishek says, a jungle safari at Jim Corbett National Park. Okay, so jungle safari. Good, and I like how you're going into details there, Abhishek. So jungle safari, yeah, because animals, if I have a tiger sniffing my lunch, that can be scary. No doubt, okay, so actual fear, right? Okay, Jaineel, crossing paths with a young jaguar, sure. Similar to jungle safari. Okay, so fear of animals, sure. Now you're thinking in the right direction. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? Okay, so Rashika, school field trip to the ocean. Okay, so swimming in the Indian Ocean. Okay, we can get into the details of why you almost drowned. There were sharks that were around you. Yeah, the water can be a scary place. Absolutely. Since we're not water creatures, that could be a really good one, Rashika. It's original, fairly easy to talk about, and lots of information. That's the other component, right? That if we really want to, and lots to talk about. Okay. I like this swimming in the Indian Ocean one because there's just a lot of information that we can talk about there, why that can be really scary, especially if you're not a strong swimmer. So lots of different environmental pressures can happen for sure. Okay, Ferdov's very good. Now that could be a little bit tricky with vocabulary, but the idea is very good. So Ferdov says, experiencing turbulence for the first time. Yeah, I've been there, Ferdov's, and I can agree. That's definitely. Okay, Ois says first airstrike. Now that's a. I'm going to stay away from that topic, Ois, because that's very political. But I can definitely sympathize with you that that would be very, very scary to be in a war type of situation. But just for the sake of the class, it's a sensitive topic, so I'm going to stay away from it. Okay, but I can surely sympathize with you on that. Okay. Abhishek says watch the horror film Conjuring. Okay. Okay, sure. All right. Wow, a couple people. Rajveer also watching Conjuring. Yeah, Nikhil watching horror movie. Okay. And there was Carolina earthquake. Yeah, that would be a good one, right? So natural disaster. Okay. So this is exactly, Carolina, why you want to think about a couple of different ideas. So first thought that came to your mind was giving a presentation to your boss. That was kind of scary. But then you think more and you realize, okay, this isn't really being nervous or anxious kind of scary, but this is like when you're frightfully scared, right? That's more kind of the context. Ali says car accident. Yeah, that could be terrifying as well. All right. So let me give you a little bit of information on this. So we could take votes on this, but I'm going to kind of veto the voting this time, and I'm going to choose for us simply because I want you to see how I would kind of think about this. So here. Cliff jumping is okay, all right? Now, cliff jumping would be original, and it might be not too bad to talk about, but the problem with cliff jumping is that it's a little bit maybe difficult to talk a lot about it, okay? Because it's a very sudden event. You're standing on the edge of the cliff, you're looking down, you're scared, and then you either jump or you don't jump. So if I want to think about these concepts like easy to talk about A, should be original B, and lots to talk about C, then cliff jumping for me has kind of A and B, but not C. Okay? Jungle safari for me has B and C, but A is kind of tricky. Okay? It's not bad, but it's kind of tricky. Same thing with this, okay? So this is kind of the same as that, crossing paths with a jaguar. So confronting a wild animal and then being scared and explaining what happened in the situation could be a little bit complicated, okay, in another language, okay? All right. Swimming in the Indian Ocean on a field trip or with the family during a trip, I think that could be really good. So this one for me has A plus B plus C. Fear of water. The water contains a lot of content. Water creatures, different kinds of animals that bite, that sting. Weather conditions, big waves, for example. Ability, lack of swimming or lack of ability to breathe underwater. So you have a lot of content. You have originality. And and it's fairly easy to talk about. If you get stuck talking about one idea, it's easy to shift and talk about another idea. Does everybody kind of see that? So experiencing turbulence during a flight, that could be fairly good as well. I think that one has A plus B plus C, but A is a little bit tricky. Okay, just kind of like with the jungle safari. All right. Watching a horror film. Okay. My problem with that one, anybody know? So instead of me telling you that one, anybody know what my problem is with watching a horror film? The Conjuring, for example. And I think some of you will answer this very quickly just based on what you saw in the chat. So why would watching a horror film, which of these three would be my issue with that one? Yeah, very good. So Rajveer and Chabi, Satisfying Time, says it's too common, right? A lot of students will probably go with the answer of, oh, when I was really scared was when I watched a horror film. So it's not original, okay? It could be actually tricky to talk about as well. So the only thing watching a horror film really has going for it is C, if you start telling the story, but then you're kind of going off topic a little bit as well. So I would stay away from this one as well. So I would stay away from this, and this so far, okay? All right, experiencing an earthquake or a car accident, I think those are possible, okay? Again, I think A is a bit questionable, but it definitely has B and C. So there is content there. You can definitely talk a lot about it. And these can be fairly original. So after logical analysis, I would probably rate these as swimming in the ocean as number 1. Turbulence for me would be number 2, and some kind of a natural disaster like an earthquake or a flood or some kind of an accident would be basically 3. Okay, so this is my logic. Okay, that's my logic. Now yours might be slightly different. As long as it's similar, I think you're on the right path. Okay. So for today, let's do swimming in the Indian Ocean. All right, we'll do swimming in the Indian Ocean. Jenny, we're not going to take votes today. I'm going to veto. I'm going to use supreme teacher position here, and I'm going to choose one for us today. So I'm going to go with swimming in the ocean. I think that's a very clever response. Several students might answer that, but probably won't be the most popular answer. And again, there's lots of content. Okay, so we'll go with that one. All right, so topic, swimming in the Indian Ocean on a trip. On a, yeah, let's say on a family trip. Okay. Sure. You know what? Let's do school field trip. I'll stick with the original suggestion. Okay, so now comes our notes. All right. So first, of course, we have the event, so we don't have to say that. Swimming in the ocean or the Indian Ocean on a school field trip. When? So just give me some time information, but give me time information that's specific, that's usable. So don't just say last year's summer. We know last year's summer, so give me a little bit more information about time, the time of the field trip. So give me something specific, and let's go nice and fast here, students. So what we're basically doing here, you don't need to write when in your notes, by the way, is we're doing time, location, attendees, activities, and then my experience, okay? Okay, so Abhishek says May 5th, 2019. Okay, so May 5th, 3 days, school field trip. Let's keep it a bit shorter. 2019. Okay, good. Sure. Okay, location. Give me the location, and I'm asking for help from students that live around the Indian Ocean. What are some beaches or that you know of around the Indian Ocean, which might be a little bit dangerous or challenging or interesting or popular? So give me the name of a beach, maybe a beach that you'd love to go to. Okay, Lubna says Goa Beach. Sure. Okay. I don't know if there's palm trees there. You can correct me. So white sand, palm trees. Okay, so describe the appearance a little bit. Okay, again, give it context. Okay, thank you, Anna. All right. So we have the time, the location. Let's go attendees. Okay, so brown sand, palm trees, sure. All right, so who was there? All right, who was there? So give me some information. Two tour guides, class field trip. So Anna, no sisters. Friends and teachers, 15 students, 2 teachers. Okay, good. So 3 teachers, 2 tour guides, 20 students. Okay, good. All right, activities. So obviously swimming, right? And what other kinds of activities? So what activities come to mind that could be useful here for talking in detail about this story? So think about the ocean. Biology teacher, good Rashika, I like the detail. Okay, satisfying time says maybe holding our breath. So holding breath, surfing. Right? For holding breath, immediately you should think of diving, surfing, sure. Okay. All right, Abhishek says collecting seashells. Now, Abhishek, careful again, vocabulary, right? So don't get into trouble. Seashells, one word. Okay. Murat Khan, how do you discover scuba diving? What is it when you're kind of floating on top of the... This is, for many people, this is their first scary experience when they have this kind of a device. What do you call that in English? And you're breathing, you're kind of underwater like that, and you're just on the surface of the water, okay? So, like that. What's that called? Anybody get that one? Oh, there it is. Lubna, very good. Snorkeling. Yeah. I was wondering if somebody would come up with that. All right. So those are some activities. Yeah, snorkeling. It's called snorkeling. Okay. Carolina says first experience. So yeah, so first experience, weak swimmer. Okay, so now think about what can be scary. So let's get into that part here. And I'm going to actually shift those two. So again, these are the notes that I'm doing for the class, but in your 1 minute, obviously, you're truncating these, so you're making these more concise. Okay. So what can be scary here? Okay. First experience, you're a weak swimmer. What else can be scary? Jet skiing, Ali, could be a part of it too. Okay, scared of deep ocean. So okay, instead of saying aquatic animals, sharks, yeah. Nick Hill, it's sharks. And we don't call it turbulent flow of water. It's a good try, though, Nick Hill. What is that called? So when you have waves that pull, or you have currents that pull you in the water, does anybody know? That's a really good word to know in English, by the way, because when you're traveling around the world and you go to the beach, you'll see signs that will say, careful about the something. And it's not a high tide, low tide. It's a something tide, though, Nick Hill. It's close. It's not a tide. Yeah, it's one type of tide, Rajveer. So always pay attention to these signs when you're traveling to places on the beach. They'll write this in English and then the original language. It's not water tides. It's a three-letter word. I wonder if anybody's... It's not a circuit. It's called a rip tide. Okay, so they're called rip tides. So be really careful when you see a sign that says dangerous rip tide. Okay. Well, anytime you see a sign that says danger, you should always figure out what the next word is before you go into the water. But now you know. So rip tide, that's that special kind of current in the water that can pull you under or pull you out to sea, okay? Everybody got that? Everybody's clear on what I'm saying with that? That can possibly save a life somewhere at some point. So it's really important that you all understand this word, riptide. Okay, riptide. Think about rip, like ripping a piece of paper. It pulls you. Okay, it's a riptide. Okay. All right. I've been to Mexico. I've been to Thailand. I've been to several different beaches around the world, and I've seen signs in English for dangerous riptides in many places. So be careful. It's always someone that gets stuck because they don't read that word. Okay. All right, good. So scary experience. Let's keep going here. All right. And then my feelings. So let's not forget about that. So my experience, the emotions. Okay. So what were your emotions? Obviously, you're scared. What are some other emotions that come to mind? So what were your experiences, your emotions? Okay. And try to be quick and clever with this. Okay. Carolina says, I didn't see the riptide sign and the water pulled me out to sea. Yeah, that could very well happen. Okay, Lubna says apprehensive, nervous, excited. Fearful, excited. Okay. Mixed feelings, yeah. Sure. You can think about why after, absolutely. Okay, adrenaline rush. Very good, Chabi. All right. It was definitely an adrenaline rush. That's a good combination. Oftentimes, we say it as adrenaline rush rather than rush of adrenaline. Adrenaline rush. Okay. All right. And then maybe after you were confident, brave, dedicated to be a good swimmer. Okay, good. All right. Now, before your 1 minute is up, and on your last 10 seconds, have your first sentence ready. Okay? So always get that first sentence ready. First sentence. Okay, go back to the card. Describe a time when you were scared. Think about your initial topic response. Swimming in the Indian Ocean on a field trip. Usually the time here is very useful. And then come up with your first sentence so that when the examiner says, okay, your preparation time is up, Lubna, then Lubna can right away start speaking. Or the examiner says, okay, Nikhil, your preparation time is up. And then Nikhil right away says, well, one of the times I remember where I was really, really scared was on a field trip to the Indian Ocean, specifically Goa Beach, back in 2019 May. I believe it was May 6th for a 3-day field trip to do all kinds of water activities. Okay, so you want to be able to start speaking nice and fluently right away, very quickly. So Lubna says, one of the most life-changing experiences that I witnessed was when I tried to swim in the Indian Ocean on a field trip. Not life-changing, Lubna, but scary. Okay, students, always use the topic in your first sentence. Okay, that's very important for the examiner. Okay, always use the topic in your first sentence. Either a very direct synonym, like I feared for my life, or just use the exact topic of scared. Okay? So in this case, scared. Okay? Make sure to use it. All right? Rajveer says, a time when I have an extremely terrifying experience was when I visited the Indian Ocean on a school field trip in mid-May 2019. Yeah, so terrifying experience is very good, Rajveer. Terrifying is a very nice direct synonym for scared, okay? Carolina says, I remember a scary moment in my life when I went on a field trip to the Indian Ocean back in 2019. Very good, Carolina. To the Indian Ocean, because you go to the ocean. Satisfying Time says, a day I was terrified was on a trip to the Indian Ocean. Very good. Ali, one of the most terrifying experiences in my past was on a trip to the Indian Ocean in mid-May 2019. Very nice. Okay, good job. All right, nice work. Anna, Ois, Nikhil, good job. I'll keep reading some other responses later, so keep typing. Okay, so one of the most terrifying moments in my life was when I went on a school field trip to the Indian Ocean back. Okay, your 1-minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. And then you say, one of the most terrifying moments in my life was when I went on a school field trip to the Indian Ocean back in mid-May of 2019. And now all you do is you just go through the steps. Goa Beach, Golden Sand, palm trees, okay? So that's all you need to do. All right? When we first arrived with my class, I was amazed. Look at the past tense, okay? You're using a lot of past tense here. I was amazed at the beautiful scenery of Goa Beach with all of the palm trees, the golden sand, and the beautiful and the deep blue ocean. Okay? All right. Abhishek says, I vividly remember when I was frightened on May 5th, 2019, on a 3-day school field trip to the Indian Ocean. Okay? Arun says, one of the most nerve-wracking experiences was when I went swimming in the Indian Ocean. Nerve-wracking is okay, Arun. Nerve-wracking is more common on the west coast of U.S., Canada, anyway. Okay. Terrifying is even better. Nervousness is a little bit different, as I said earlier. It's kind of like being anxious, but here you're genuinely scared. Okay. All right, so keep going here, students. Keep giving your responses. So now we're giving context, right? So the location, all right? So We stayed in bungalows along the beach with my, 20 classmates and 2 or 3 teachers for 3 nights and 4 days. Okay, very good. All right, let's see what else you have. So Carolina says, not only was I extremely terrified because it was my first time swimming in the open ocean, but also because there were big waves. Okay. I was extremely scared on the first day of activities since I'm not a strong swimmer and I've never swam in the open ocean. Better to use past perfect here. And I'd never swam in the open ocean before then. I was really terrified of the big waves, and for good reason. Okay. All right. Lubna says, we had the opportunity to stay in some big bungalows with large windows. This way we could have great view of the sky intersecting the deep blue ocean. Okay, good, Lubna. Just make sure that you keep focused on the topic, which is being scared. Okay? All right. Abhishek says it was the first time to visit Goa and have a swimming experience in the Indian Ocean with some beautiful scenery. The palm trees looked amazing with the coconuts, and the brown sand felt fantastic on my feet. Yeah, okay, Abhishek, use different words, right? Okay, so I was really terrified of the big waves, and for good reason. It only took about half an hour before a large wave caught my feet and pulled me into the ocean. I tried to hold my breath as long as I could, but the wave kept pulling me under. Eventually, I swallowed some seawater and started choking. Ooh, okay. So describing the event. At one moment, I thought I was done for, and I would become fish food for the sharks and other sea animals. Luckily, a lifeguard saw me and pulled me out to the beach. Okay, so just showing you some fluency here. I see that a couple of you are writing more. Don't just look at what I'm writing, but keep writing, students. Keep writing, okay? Nick Hill says, when I reached Goa Beach with my 30 classmates and 4 teachers, along with the tour guide, We stayed for 4 days in a hotel. Even though I swam a lot in the pool, I was terrified to swim in the open water. Okay, Nikhil, good. So you're getting into it. I can feel it. Abhishek says, we had an hour of training before going into the water with some essential gear such as swimsuits, snorkels, and we got taught how to hold our breath. Okay, good, Abhishek. So you're talking about an activity maybe of going out snorkeling. Good. Yeah. So the next day, our whole class was expected to go snorkeling, and I was shaking at the knees. Okay. Here's a nice idiom for you for expressing that you're scared. Shaking at the knees. You know, when you see that in cartoons sometimes when the knees are shaking, and that means you're scared. Okay. Ferdov says, as I heard about the riptide, which has been the cause of a lot of deaths, that's why I was swimming closer to the beach, and I was observing others having fun like snorkeling. Okay, Ferdov, remember, you're talking about a scary situation. You're not talking about avoiding a scary situation. So get into it, right? Talk about the topic, okay? Notice how I keep coming back to that. So I keep coming back to being scared, shaking at the knees, being terrified. So the next day, our whole class was expected to go snorkeling, and I was shaking at the knees. I worked up enough courage to join the group, and I ended up having a lot of fun. In the end, I look back on this experience with pride. I have learned to respect the power of the ocean, and also to be more careful when dealing with a new and dangerous situation. Also, I'm proud of myself that I didn't give up, and since then, I've become a much stronger swimmer. Okay, so that's roughly about it. That's where I'm going to stop. Now, you could go into more details, okay? All right. Where's my first part? Okay, anyway, did I write it somewhere else? Maybe. Okay, so repeat after me. And here we go. So let's do this part 2 together, okay? Some great writing from all of you. Again, remember, focus on the topic. Keep coming back to the topic. So here's the original question, okay? Let's take a look at that. So describe a time when you were scared. Why were you scared? When and where did it happen? Who was there? How did you feel about the situation? I always make sure that I answer all the questions on the card. After about 60 seconds of speaking, it's a good idea to stop, look at the card. That's why they give it to you. Check the questions and make sure that you answer all of them. Okay? So here we go. Repeat after me. The beginning you will have to, because I think I wrote over top of it or erased it or something. But here we go. So first sentence, okay? A specific time. So repeat after me again. Here we go. Speak, okay? So a specific time when I felt especially terrified was back in the middle of May 2019 when I went on a field trip with my classroom to the Indian Ocean. I went there with my class and we arrived at Goa Beach. I was amazed at the beautiful scenery of Goa Beach with all of the palm trees, the golden sand, and its deep blue ocean. We stayed in bungalows along the beach with 20 of my classmates and 3 teachers for 3 nights, 4 days. I was extremely scared on the first day of activities since I'm not a strong swimmer and I'd never swam in the open ocean before then. I was really terrified of the big waves, and for good reason. It only took about half an hour before a large wave caught my feet and pulled me into the sea. I tried to hold my breath as long as I could, but the wave kept pulling me under. Eventually, I swallowed some seawater and started choking. At one moment, I thought I was done for and I would become fish food for the sharks and other sea animals. Luckily, a lifeguard saw me and pulled me out to the beach. The next day, our whole class was expected to go snorkeling, and I was shaking at the knees. I worked up enough courage eventually to join the group, and I ended up having a lot of fun looking at all the colorful fish and beautiful corals. In the end, I look back on this experience with pride. I've learned to respect the power of the ocean and also to be more careful when dealing with a new and dangerous situation. Also, I'm proud of myself that I didn't give up, and since then I've become a much stronger swimmer. Now, I try to plan at least one trip to the seaside with my family or with my friends and conquer my fears of swimming in the ocean. Okay, students, so some nice writing there, and that's what you want to do. Importantly, keep coming back to the topic of being scared, okay? You stepped onto a sea anemone or a sharp rock, it cut your feet, that made you even more scared. You thought that the blood would attract sharks and they would eat you. So you can keep going with this, okay? This is the beautiful aspect of choosing a good topic, like going to the ocean. Okay, there's just a lot to talk about. Okay, you can talk more and more about it. All right, everyone. So that's it for now, but very, very soon we will have part 3 of this speaking with follow-up questions to part 2. So make sure you hang out and join me for that. That's coming up in just 30 minutes, okay? So stick around, members, stick around, okay? Good job, stick around. And remember the word riptide, okay? All right, pay attention to that one. Okay, everyone, for those of you watching, make sure to visit and check out our premium IELTS packages at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gltshelp.com for general IELTS. You're very welcome, everyone, and it was great seeing so many members in this class. Hopefully, I will see you in half an hour. I'm Adrian, signing out from Budapest for now. Bye.